This is Father Sebastiaan, Master Fangsmith of the Sabretooth clan and Impresario of the Endless Night Vampire Ball. And you're listening to Hollywood Arcane, Vampire Culture, Music, and Magic, with your special guest host, JoHanna Moresco of the Crew Shadows. Greetings and welcome, JoHanna.
Thank you, Father Sebastiaan.
How are you down in Florida?
I am most excellent and most hot. How are you in, where are you right now?
I think I'm in California. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I'm in Florida from what my friends say.
That's true. You are visiting Florida quite a bit.
Yeah, my mom's not doing so good, so I got to be there to take care of her.
Family is important.
Yeah, but she took off to see Oppenheimer this morning with my brother.
Priorities, right? Priorities.
I was getting calls from the care lady, and she was like, "Where's your mom?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm at Starbucks."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I see where you get it from. Okay.
So, have you been doing?
I have been doing awesome. I have lots of cool events coming up that I'm focusing on. I have Resurgence Goth Night on Friday, and it's our first time in a new and bigger venue.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is the new venue and bigger venue?
It's called Underbelly. It's in downtown Jacksonville, just around the corner from where we were, but it has a nice big stage. So lots of bands coming next year. Lots of good announcements on the way.
You're going to make Tampa the Jax the headquarters of goth bands in the U.S.?
You know, maybe. Fingers crossed. I don't want to be that bold, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm sure if anybody can pull it off, it's JoHanna Moresco, the Crew Shadows.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been to your, last time I was at your event, it was really cool. You had a great draw and a lot of good vendors, and there was really good food and good music. So I look forward to coming down more to Florida and exploring the offerings that you're providing.
Thank you.
Oh, Sanctuary.
Yes, that's the one that you went to. Yeah,
okay.
That's my Sunday night event in downtown Jacksonville every second Sunday. And then we typically have every fourth Saturday for Resurgence.
Cool. So a nice balance of everything.
People were excited to see you there. I had people come up to me, "Is that Father Sebastiaan?" I said, "Maybe. Go ask him if you dare."
Well, you know what's funny is I was in New Orleans at Hex Fest making fangs and hanging out with Patty Negri, and my friend Sebastian came in, and he was like, "Why do people call you Brother Sebastiaan when your title's Father Sebastiaan?" And I'm like, let's make a video about this. So I made a video introducing him as Brother Sebastiaan in the Sabretooth clan because he just got his fangs.
Aww.
And now I'm officially Father Sebastiaan. People can't call, either when they say Brother Sebastiaan, they're talking about Brother Sebastian. So I had to clarify that.
Multiple Sebastians.
Yes, the only person that can call me brother is my brother.
Fair enough.
So what do we? Okay, so we have a couple things coming up for Endless Night.
We do.
And our guests are going to be a part of that. So let's do a little preview before we bring them on.
Yeah.
So we, of course, have the countdown to Halloween. But before that, we have a Witchy City event.
Yes, we do. In Salem, Massachusetts. Perhaps the witchiest city of them all. Our guests today are from Salem, Massachusetts. They are Ben and Lex, the owners of Vampfangs, Maison Vampire, and the producers of the Salem Endless Night Vampire Ball. And there they are. Hi, guys.
The beard and the hair.
Am I the hair or am I the beard?
You're the beard. Come on.
All right.
Bradley would love that. Inside joke, guys.
I'm definitely not the hair.
How's it going? Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We have a black veil that we composed in honor of Witch City Halo called the Witch City Halo Black Veil. And let's read that to kind of get the flavor of what we're doing.
I love it. A little mood reading, if you will. This is the Witch City Halo Veil, written by Father Sebastiaan. You can find it in Black Veil's Master Vampire Edition. Salem, Massachusetts was incorporated as a village in 1629 and is best known for the Salem witch trials of February 1692 and May 1693. Today, with this history as a backdrop, it is best known for its esoteric boutiques and shops, ghost tours, haunted sites, museums, and pagan culture, which has given it the nickname of the Witch City. You can find this name written on everything from police cars to team mascot jerseys in Salem. A little-known vampiric history and vampire current has been slowly unveiling and manifesting. With this fantastic macabre background, Witch City has developed into a diverse and eclectic community that is sophisticated, elegant, and cultured. On May 4th, 2019, in the basement of the haunted Hawthorne Hotel, a new halo of the vampire current was officially consecrated with a ritual of over 200 participants, contributing their will, intent, and life force essence. This ritual was presided by Father Sebastiaan with local vampires Benjamin Adam and Alexis Foray, the proprietors of the Vampfangs boutique, thus giving shape and cohesion for the halo's egregore with a secret name, yet publicly known as Witch City Halo. The new public use of vampire magic to awaken the vampire current in Salem has unearthed whispers of a secret history of lost vampire lore and brought forth new possibilities for this community. Businesses such as Vampfangs, established in 1993, the Bygone Vampire Court of Salem, and previous vampire events at the Old Town Hall have established a history of vampire culture. The Endless Night Salem Vampire Ball and salons in partnership with Vampfangs was established in 2019 at the Hawthorne Hotel. 2021 has brought forth a magical sacred space for the vampires known as Maison Vampire, located in a notoriously haunted building built in 1817 at 1 Derby Square. There is a strong and uniquely New England culture of magic that has strengthened this community of vampire admirers and vampire witches.
Man, that's a detailed veil for such a new halo.
It is. Well, there's a lot going on in that halo.
Yeah. So, JoHanna, what's our first question for this dynamic duo?
Our first question that we are all dying to know is, how did you two get into the vampire culture?
Very, very, very carefully. As far as how we got into the vampire culture, I would say that we kind of threw ourselves into it, which is what we do with damn near everything that we touch. The two of us don't really know how to do anything kind of half-assed. So when we decide that we want to do something, we kind of go in full steam ahead and
confirm.
Yeah.
It's like your haunted house that you guys had back in the day.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, I've been a lot of haunts, and just the attention to detail and like the endless cornfields that were groomed immaculately was like, how do they have time to do anything else but groom these cornfields?
Sebastiaan, we actually picked that cornfield by hand. So those corn mazes were actually,
the paths.
The paths. We pulled all of that corn by hand.
Granted,
it was about this big.
When they're only a few inches.
Oh, okay.
But talk about the best squats you'll ever do in your entire life. And
I was gonna say, how's your back feeling?
Good. Good. But yeah, I mean, as far as the vampire culture goes, we're kind of involved in many different aspects, magically, lifestyle, parties, a whole lovely little plethora of everything, I'll call it.
Okay. So that leads us to our next question, which is probably your outing in the BC is, how did you come to acquire Vampfangs? And what is Vampfangs? What's the history of that?
What's a Vampfangs?
I mean, it was kind of random and by chance. And so we, at the time, we were doing some consulting work for farms.
Doing the haunted attractions that you were
doing
just
the haunted attraction and agritainment and different things like that, helping them get set up. And so our office was over in this in the Cumming Center in Beverly, just in the city next door.
Like
here
an
in
office
Salem.
park area.
A massive, massive
huge.
place. And so we were doing haunted house stuff, and Vampfangs had an office space or a warehouse space over there in the Cumming Center. And we were the only 2 spooky businesses that were in that complex. And so, like, randomly one day, the previous owner, the original, the founder and original owner of Vampfangs had just reached out to us and said, hey, let's get lunch. Like, we're the only 2 spooky people here. Let's get lunch and talk spooky stuff. So
yeah, we were surrounded by, I mean, it's a corporate office building, so we were definitely
doctors and therapists and medical stuff happening.
Just a little bit.
And yeah, so we went and grabbed some lunch with him one day, and I think maybe a couple of years we had a
it was over a year
kind of relationship with him.
Yeah,
and just
kept getting drinks and hanging out and everything. And
then one day we were actually in the midst of, we were trying to launch a project that particular year. It was in the haunted field. And things fell through on that project. And so just like very jokingly at one of our lunches, he's like, you should just buy Vampfangs. And we were like,
I was like, huh.
Like, are you serious? And it turns out he was serious. He had traveled in the past over to Vietnam on business. And he had met someone over there that he fell in love with. He wanted to move to Vietnam. He wanted to settle down, start, add to his family. And so that kind of like, hey, you should buy Vampfangs turned into, okay, get the lawyers to draft up the stuff. And I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks later, it happened like fast, so quick.
And at that time he had been running Vampfangs for what,
since 93, and we bought it in 2017. So
it was a really long time.
24
and it was a
years.
Really kind of emotional process for him. And
it was.
I remember the night before.
Oh yeah.
The night before we were to sign papers for him to hand the business over and everything. He messaged me and he goes, Alexis, I'm so scared. He said, this has been my baby for almost
24 years.
Most of my life. What if you guys screw it up? And I said, Scott, we're not going to screw it up. I said, this is like you sending your baby off to college, but in your head, you're thinking that you're sending it to community college, your kid, but you're going to be sending it to one of the most prestigious universities ever. I said, we're going to take Vampfangs to the moon, and it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good friend of ours since that moment.
Still, yeah.
He constantly tells us how proud he is of everything that we've done, and he's proud of us. So that makes me feel good that we didn't do his baby dirty. So.
Yeah. But it was totally random, totally by chance, and totally not planned.
No.
Hey, buy the company. Okay, a month later we get the company. It was weird.
I was working in advertising at the time, and I remember calling my mother and saying, Mom, thanks for helping me through college, but I'm quitting my job in corporate America to buy a vampire company. And there was a very long silence on the phone, and she just said, okay, you do it. So all worked out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Been a whirlwind ever since then.
It has.
I mean, it was a year later we opened the store. It was like almost to the day.
Mm-hmm.
So almost exactly 1 year later we opened the store.
Yeah.
Almost exactly a year later was when we connected with, or when we kind of launched Endless Night here in Salem. And so it's just been one thing after another. It's been awesome.
We haven't slept quite yet, so I'm looking forward to that someday.
Sleeping, we're dead in 400 years.
Wow.
The vampire jokes. You know, when you turn 40, you're actually 400 in vampire years.
Oh, okay.
I'll be 400 forever
then. But I know how the guy from Vampfangs feels because, you guys are the only people that I've ever franchised my company out to, and trusting you with the brand, seeing what you did with Vampfangs allowed me to feel confident about licensing you Endless Night, and I can say that I'm not too disappointed.
Thanks.
No, I'm really happy with what you guys have done. You've really, but that's going to be in the next question.
Good, because I'm already crying. So go ahead.
Oh, all right. Tell us about the journey of taking on the Endless Night Vampire Ball in Salem. How did that come to be? What has that been like for you?
So, I mean, I don't know how long after, and we could probably go in the way back machine in in Instagram and probably find this picture. There's like a black and white photo of you and I and Sebastian in New York.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Because that was like the first time that we connected with Sebastian, and they were doing a screening of
World of Darkness.
Yes, and so Sebastian had reached out, asked if we wanted to come out. This was like shortly after we bought Vampfangs, I think. So the word must have been out in the word must have gotten out in the vampire world that they were new owners of Vampfangs, because Sebastian reached out and invited us out, and I think we were sitting outside one of the hotels there or something, having coffee, and it was funny because it was actually just as kind of casual as the Vampire situation, because we were sitting there having coffee with Sebastian. Sebastian said, you
guys should do the thing. And we're like,
you guys should do some salons and maybe a vampire ball in a couple years. It was very casual like that.
I feel like the vampire world has a plan for us, and we just find out little pieces about it every now and then. We're like, yeah, okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
we can do the thing. That works. Yeah.
One thing that I find very interesting is that I had lunch with our dear friend Christian Day the other day, and he was like telling me the story of his vampire masquerade ball that he was doing at the Hawthorne, and he was like, "I'm so glad Ben and Lex took it over," and I'm like, "Took over what?" and he was like, I had a porn actress as a belly dancer and put it all over town just to piss people off. And I'm like, Christian, you're okay.
That sounds about right.
There's been, before we started doing Endless Night events here, there were some kind of, not Endless Night related, but some vampire like balls and kind of stuff that was going on. Christian did do a vampire ball 1 year.
Like 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
1 or 2 years. And then before that, there used to be a vampire event. I don't even want to call it a ball. Was it a ball at Old Town Hall? There was a vampire gathering of sorts at Old Town Hall. That
use the term ball loosely.
Yeah, it was, at Old Town Hall. And I don't know when that stopped. I want to say maybe 94 or 95 that stopped. But there hadn't really been much of anything until we started up again.
Until we revamped things in the city.
But now that we're doing the events here, people are coming back out of the coffin and really enjoying kind of the community. We're doing monthly goth nights now too, which is really fun. And the Vampire Lounge is really bringing out a whole new group of people too, so that's been really good. But the vampire community in Salem has grown immensely over the past few years. The ball here is really, really fun, and we're really looking forward to September 9th, because that's like soon, coming up
2 weeks away, 3 weeks away.
Ah!
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I'm wearing yet. This is not okay. I'm not there yet.
We still besides our fashion, how have the witches responded to the vampires in Salem?
Really well, actually.
But at first,
not so much.
It was a little skeptical.
Yeah, and still, like, there's a lot of skepticism, but I think people are finally starting to kind of understand what we're doing and not seeing us as kind of. I think people hear vampire and they think like pop culture vampires, so they don't really understand it. But seeing kind of what a staple in the community we are, I think people are really starting to embrace it and understand.
Well, I think that there's, at least from kind of what I've observed, is there's a fair amount of witches who, when they kind of start to come into the vampire fold, they're like, this is kind of where I belong.
Yeah.
It's like they're a witch, but they've always felt like there was something missing, or there was something in their particular path that they just didn't completely jive with, or they felt some kind of certain way. And they come here and I found my place. Like we've I don't want to say converted, because that's not the right word, but there's a lot of people who have traditionally identified as witches now identify as vampire witches.
I mean, truth be told, I kind of did that myself. Yeah. I didn't really quite fit in there either. And I made a place, work here at Maison Vampire, but I made a place here that I felt like I could fit in and I would be comfortable in, and something that I really wanted. And it's really cool that other people feel the same way too.
One thing about the vampire community, I remember my first time. I was at a LARP in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I was playing an evil lich, and this girl came up to me and she was like, "You need to kill me by noon on Saturday because I'm going to a game called Vampire the Masquerade."
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
little did I know it would turn into 800-person events in Salem. You know, I mean,
It's funny. There is a local community here who plays some LARP stuff, and when we first opened the store, we didn't realize it, but they had made our store like part of one of their like worlds and realms. And one day somebody came up to us and they're like, "So we're playing, and we were just wondering, do you guys have a basement?" And we were like, "Yeah, we do." And they're like, "Oh my God, you have a basement. We have a basement in your store too." And we're like, "Okay." Like, yeah, it's like through a hatch door. You have to like crawl in through the floor and it's like, it closes over you like you're in a dungeon. And they're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Aww.
I loved it. It was awesome.
Were they playing Vampire the Masquerade, or what were they? I wonder what they were doing.
I think they were playing Masquerade, yeah.
Because in the comic book shop 2 doors down from us, down in the basement of that shop is where they play.
Nice.
oh, cool.
So yeah.
Do you know there's when I was involved in World of Darkness,
There's our
that we guys met. Oh, that's great. I love that setup you have. Did your mom help with that?
My mom helped make those curtains for us.
Aww.
Yeah. I sketched them out. I was like, "Mom, I need these," and she's like, "Okay, we'll make them."
So she did such a good job.
Yeah.
You're great. It's but the LARPing, was the world I got into in the social community of the vampire world. And when I first started out, so many people were using LARP terminology as their lifestyle terminology. And the one thing that I found interesting was that to this day, everybody thinks werewolves and vampires are at war with each other.
Mm.
And that came from Vampire the Masquerade. And I was so proud that your first time you saw me on screen was like, vampires and werewolves are not enemies. But it kind of translates into the witch and the vampire thing because, when I first got into the vampire community in New York, there was no mixture of goth and vampire. We had to go to the kink scene and the gay scene because the vampires were considered second-class citizens to the goths. And the goths were like, and even in Boston, I went up to see Kurzak from Hell. And he's like, "What do you think? You're 400 years old and drink blood?" And I'm like, "No, I make plastic teeth, dude."
Big difference.
I'm a dental technician. I just love fangs. And he was that was my cover at the time. But it's amazing to see now that the witches are getting comfortable with us because in New Orleans we have the high priestess of Brian Kane's coven leading the rituals for the Dark Goddess, and she's amazing. So when that happens, it's going to reverberate around the world, and witches and vampires are now at peace.
I've always been at peace with everybody, but
yeah, I'm sure that there'll still be some holdouts.
Yeah.
After we started obviously doing a lot of vampire stuff in town, and we opened the shop and started doing a whole bunch of stuff. There were some witches in town that I'm not going to point broomsticks to anybody, right? But there were definitely some witches in town that started openly having classes on how to protect yourself against vampires and all this kind of stuff. And it was definitely like a pushback against what we were doing, a backlash against what we were doing, because they were very much painting us as parasites. And
so what you're telling me is your impact on the local economy is so wide that you're making other people who aren't even you money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean,
we're generous people.
You're making a stamp. Yeah, you're doing something there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we have the next event is the Salem Vampire Ball. Can you share maybe some of the things that are planned for that? Some things we can all look forward to.
It's so close. Like, it's every single year. I'm like, I can't believe, where did the time go? How has it been a year? How there's still so much to do. There's always so much to do.
I'm
still know. Like, even like day of, I'm still doing stuff that morning. It's just kind of like this never ending stuff to do. And we've got a lot planned this year.
This year is the first year we introduced a theme. So Cirque de Vampire theme this year. So we tried to cater a lot of the acts, a lot of the performances, the auxiliary stuff that's happening kind of in line with that theme. So we have Aerialist Act. Again, this year they're doing silks. We've obviously got burlesque, but for our kind of main Cirque, we've got a fusion belly dancer that very much has like a carnival-esque feel.
She's amazing, by the way. I can't wait for you guys to see her. She's from New York. I saw her Instagram, and the way that she moves is just, she's stunning. I can't wait for you guys to see her. She's awesome.
Beautiful costuming and everything. So she's going to be great. And we found a, this hasn't even been announced yet.
Yeah, we can tell them.
But it's totally fine. For the second actor in the Cirque, we found a contortionist that does archery with her feet. So she's going to twist herself up in some weird position and like shoot bows and arrows at balloons. It's wild. So she's going to be doing that. The headline performer this year, Dan Sperry, shock illusionist. So we are pumped to have him in Salem this year.
We love Dan so much.
We've got
Danny is doing a private performance, Danny Devine, up in the VIV upstairs. We have, this year we're introducing a whole sideshow act because it's Cirque themed. So we have a human blockhead who does like knife juggling and all that fun stuff.
Putting drills into his face, but he's a vampire. So
he's a vampire, which is fun.
He'll have his Nosferatu, like he'll be decked out.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Really cool. And then we have living mermaids, which is going to be really fun. They're not going to be in tanks because, you know,
logistics.
Right. So these are the land mermaids, but full.
Hawthorne won't let you have mermaids?
We have mermaids.
In tanks.
No tanks. No. So they're going to be land mermaids, but they are going to be wearing their fins and their tails, which are beautiful silicone, gorgeous things. So they're really gorgeous. We have what else going on?
Body painter.
Oh yeah. So downstairs this year in the library, we're going to have it's what did we call it? It's like Glow Cirque du Glow or something.
Glow Cirque du Freak.
Yes.
Oh,
so
wow.
downstairs is going to be like a black light room, and the body painter is going to be painting our go-go dancers during the first part of the night. He's doing this really awesome like body paint thing that glows for them upstairs, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, so I guess we'll be able to watch the process and then see them downstairs go live.
Yep. And then as usual, amazing food. Sebastian, we got you oysters this year. Nothing to be sad about.
The oysters are the way.
Yes.
This is the way.
That's pretty brave.
Okay.
That's pretty brave putting that out there.
Anything's possible if the oysters don't show up. Again, there will be caviar for you.
We don't have the final BEO. I don't know how to guarantee oysters.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Jan, we requested oysters. I hope that they're there. But again, if not, you will have caviar.
Yeah, if we don't get oysters, we'll just get caviar.
We'll just get caviar.
Oh, wow.
Who's posh here? Who's posh here?
Yeah. JoHanna, I did find the bottle of non-alcoholic absinthe for the absinthe party this year, finally. It went missing last year. I was very upset. But it wasn't found.
There was plenty of good stuff going on last year, but that is awesome for this year.
Yes. So lots of fun stuff. Probably stuff that we are not mentioning and forgot about, but
right.
We're really excited.
Oh, you moved the salon to a new location.
Yes. The salon is going to be at Dylan Marcus, which is gorgeous. I cannot wait for you guys to see that. So good.
It's an old bank building from the 1800s. So it's gorgeous architecture. Beautiful. It's just columns, grand fireplaces.
And the owners are proprietors of antiques. So there's tons of beautiful, beautiful stuff around everywhere. So Sebastian, just walk around like this so you don't break anything.
I'm pretty good maneuvering around not breaking stuff.
When we were there doing our walkthrough last week, they have this adorable little dog, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. And I bent down, and not knowing behind me was this beautiful china teapot that I knocked off of the shelf, and I was like, okay, I can't move. I should not.
Oh no.
You know, I have a similar story. I was at Dita and Marilyn Manson's house doing a ghost hunt with Patty, and there was all these statues, and they were all brittle cement, and I destroyed 2 statues by like bumping into them, And I'm like, oh my God. So it was like, Patty's like, don't worry about it. My friend ignited a fire upstairs and we put it out before the house burned down. You had nothing on that. And,
we're going to tie your hands to your body.
No, we'll be fine. But no, this venue is super cool.
The venue is awesome.
In the way that it's furnished, it looks like a vampire's house with all the old stuff that's there. You know, it looks like the vampires have been collecting things for a few hundred years and putting them on display. So that's really nice. We have Zarina performing that night as well.
Zarina's going to be there that
so she'll
night.
be doing a performance singing.
Yes.
Very cool.
And then our ritual, which we love as usual.
Awesome.
Plus the location's right around the corner from Maison Vampire.
It is. Yep, it's right down the street. It's all walkable. Salem in general is very walkable.
Yeah.
The downtown area is fairly small in comparison to other cities, so it's very, very walkable.
I prefer compact.
Compact, petite.
Yes, but the best thing about Salem is the chocolate.
we like chocolate.
Yeah, we got to make that's our secret, the light every time we come to Salem.
Yes.
So, what else do we have to talk about, JoHanna?
Let's talk about Maison Vampire for a moment. What's that all about?
So that's where we are now. So when we opened Vampfangs, we were doing some ritual work in there. We were doing some magic in there and some classes, and it just wasn't. First of all, it wasn't big enough, but there wasn't enough dedication to magic in that building. So we decided to open up Maison just so we had a dedicated space to do a kind of vampire magic. And now we do tons and tons of classes. We do tarot readings and energy work and all sorts of fun stuff here.
Yeah, it's quite an active, place here.
Yeah,
and it's growing every time I come back. It's different.
Always different.
We're always shifting things around here.
It's always evolving.
Yeah. I'm actually in the middle of a 4-part energy class with my mom, which has been really fun. Teaching with my mother has been a really cool thing. So that's happening here at Maison. The last class, I think, is tomorrow, actually. But yeah, lots of classes. We have the Vampire Witch Weekend happening this weekend, too. I feel like it's just a revolving door of activities in here. There's never a dull moment here in Maison.
I remember us all doing a very cool ritual on the last day of the Salem Vampire event.
Yes.
Do you remember that, Sebastian?
Which event? Last one?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so many rituals in my mind.
It's true. It's true.
Remind me, please remind me.
I believe that we were working with black mirrors, right, Alexis?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep, there's tons of black mirrors in there, and it was a really good ritual. It was a nice way to close out the weekend after kind of a lot of busy, hectic running around. It was nice to kind of just be still for a moment and take everything in and kind of breathe. So
very grounding.
Yes. Yep. Our closing ritual this year is going to be at Dylan Marcus, and same with the kind of farewell tea party that we do is going to be at Dylan Marcus too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Maison Vampire is I like how you spell it with a Y. That's very, very classy.
Thank you. We try and be a classy people here in Salem.
Bougie vampire spelled vampire with a Y.
Yes. I need to make a shirt.
Bougie
Vamp. Done. I'm doing it. Making it.
All right. Bougie vamp.
Bougie vamp.
But do you know what the bourgeoisie actually means?
Teach me.
Okay, so in France, there was the 4 estates. There was the common people, which included the bourgeoisie and the peasants. Then there was the aristocracy. And then there was the 3rd estate, which was the clergy. And there was a secret 4th estate, which was the gravediggers and executioners, called the barreau. And the educated middle class that were part of the commoners rebelled and got the peasants involved and cut the heads up all the marquises and dukes and aristocracy. And they also, little did they know, that they killed off all of the clergy. That's why France doesn't have a very good record of being religious. and the government was atheist, and Napoleon took over, and the bourgeoisie inherited a lot of the property of the aristocracy. So the word bougie came from the concept of the aristocracy having no money and trying to copy the bourgeoisie, which was the middle class, which became a new estate. And Napoleon made a law, okay, above all, he integrated all graveyards, and he made a law saying this was the end, above all graveyards. That's a little additional knowledge. But bougie means the aristocracy trying to copy the people that overthrew them. And they would collect all sorts of artifacts from around Europe and the world. And the bougie artifacts were the luxury things during the first empire. So that's where you get the word bougie. And to this day, bougie means upper middle class.
Bougie vamps. I'm sticking with it. I'm making a shirt. I will send you one.
Make sure it's cotton.
You got it.
Okay. So, okay. Let's talk about we talked about the concentration of Witch City Halo, but since you guys have taken over Vampfangs, how is the vampire elements of Salem manifested? And what is the culture like today versus 10 years ago?
That is a wow question. Okay. So I think as far as 10 years goes, I mean, it kind of erupted again. I mean, there was just kind of silent. Like, it was really, really dormant until we came back into town. And I know that when we came back, we had so many people, and still to this day, people come in and they're like, oh my God, Vampfangs, you have a store. There's a physical place. And it was really cool for us to be able, when we first opened, for us to be able to be face to face with people that were in the community, because there really wasn't a face to anything. So it's been great.
You know, I think too, one thing I think that's been super fun, that I think is added to Salem, is as we've traveled around New Orleans, especially, but other cities as well. One of the times we visited New Orleans, we took a history tour down there, and it was a vampire tour, and we landed on Rose Sinister's tour. And this was before we had officially met, and we were down there, and we were wearing, at the time we had jackets, and we had different like embroidery and different patches
our different
on
businesses that we owned and everything.
And so we had Vampfangs. We had just added Vampfangs to like the jacket, and she saw us on the tour, and totally like brought her back to like 25 years ago. And she was like total fangirl over Vampfangs, and like, oh my God, when I was a baby bat, I used to buy my stuff from, all this kind of stuff. And it's so great to meet you guys. And so, I think that even though that's happened obviously in New Orleans, I think that our experiences coming from Salem, going to these other places, the different people that we meet, I feel like we're bringing a little bit of all these interactions back to Salem, which I think is just, added to the overall vibe and energy in the city.
Yeah, because one of the things that never was on my radar was Salem. And I realized that if anybody could do the Salem thing, it was you guys. It was the best last hope for the Vampires of Salem. And, you guys have done a great job incorporating the elements of what you've seen in other cities in the Salem. And I think we tip our hats to you for making Salem, turning Salem into a vampire accepting environment.
Thank you. It's been nice to hear, especially from our customers too, that they now have a place to go. They now have a community, and they now have kind of a light that they never really had before, and something to look forward to. So that's been really great.
A lot of new faces.
A ton of new faces
that are coming that had never even ventured into these waters before, that are coming in and like, oh yeah, the water's warm. Yeah. I'm coming right in, But it's also been kind of fun and interesting, I think, since we've opened up shop, and the more things we're doing around, and now the Vampire is so big around Salem. There's a lot of stores around here now that have very conspicuously started introducing bats and vampires and different things into their kind of repertoire and mix. And that was much less of an instance before.
Yeah. So
that's been interesting to see as well.
Very curious. Very curious. So speaking of that, now this is an individual question for each of you, not a collective question.
What is your favorite black veils?
Oh man. Black veils currently in the book or taken away, added, re-added, or put back in?
That are currently in the current edition.
Okay. Ben, go. I want to think about this one. It's a big deal.
So I'm a fan of two. Well, obviously I'm a fan of more than two, but chocolate, because I just freaking love chocolate. It's like my one kind of sweet tooth weakness is chocolate. I just can't get enough chocolate. And secondly, I think black.
Yeah.
I don't think before I kind of got immersed in this lifestyle, I never really thought about black in that way. And as opposed to now, it's obviously a lot more than just goth color of clothing, right? But it just represents so much. It's just powerful. Power, just class, power. I love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I think I'm ready. Dance, I think, is probably super important of all of them because of everything that we do, either from a party and lifestyle perspective or a magical perspective. Dance is something that shows emotion. It brings people together, and really is, I think, one of the biggest cornerstones of being a vampire in general, because it encompasses so many different things. Even in ritual, dance is really, really important. And I love dancing. So there's that.
Fun fact.
Oh.
I've never really been a dancer. I've typically been a wall hugger because I like to observe. I like to kind of like just watch the room and kind of see what's going on. But since I've kind of become more immersed and more a part of the vampire world, I mean, I probably look really, really foolish, right? Because I don't see myself as a really great dancer, but I've just gotten to a point now with my self-awareness, comfort, self-confidence, level of kind of where I'm at, that if I look foolish, I just don't fucking care. Like
I think anyone who is having fun with it is a good dancer.
But I think that's part of why dance with vampires is so important, because it's that freedom. It's knowing that you're among people that you can be fierce with and kind of just own it and be cool.
And the Gothic two-step is easy as pie.
Hell yeah.
All you gotta do, a little of this, all right, and
clear the legs, do your stuff.
But I've looked at dancing, Gothic dancing around the world, and the one place that is the weirdest Gothic dancing is the Germans in Westphalia. They line up in lines, like line dancers.
Oh.
And there's a center point, which is like, imagine a tennis court being a dance floor, and they line up in dancing. And then Berlin dance is more like normal goths. But
so I'm Greek. I could totally get down with the dancing in a line thing.
With the German goths.
The German goths.
German goth line dance.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, JoHanna, you're up next.
I would like to know, do you two have any vampire fiction that you're very fond of?
With fiction, do you mean like literature, or do you mean movies, or?
You know, I was thinking literature, but anything you would like to discuss.
Not Twilight. No Twilight.
No Twilight, but I mean the Sookie Stackhouse Chronicles are amazing, and into not Twilight, but into True Blood, which is my favorite series of all time. So those are kind of my favorite fictions on that end. How about you, Ben? You can go movie, because I know you're more film than vampire literature.
I mean the time that I was coming up, I mean, Lost Boys and Blade, like I know those might not, people may kind of snub their nose at Blade or be like, no, it's not Lost Boys, the Dracula or the Interview, but I don't know, it's just the time I was coming up.
Yeah.
Like Lost Boys was killer.
Mm-hmm.
And Blade, Snipes was just a badass. So
it's the saxophone scene, right?
What was that?
It's the saxophone scene, right?
Yes.
Totally.
Lost Boys is a classic. It's an absolute classic.
Yeah.
And I love the mix of comedy and seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
And in Blade, I've always I don't know. This is like, I actually just brought this up to Lex like last week. I've always wanted to recreate the blood rave scene from Blade.
And we had logistical conversations over drinks about how we could do this.
Like, how could we actually do it? Like,
and
we could rent a tent, like with open sides.
And I tried telling him
put sprinkler systems in it, and
that we can't do a blood rave because blonde hair and blood rave is a very bad idea. And my hair.
Do you know? I've been to two blood raves.
Were there blondes there? Like, how did they get through?
Oh yeah, there's blonde there. Well, first was a friend of mine in New Orleans, who put a piping system up above the thing, and had his goonies, his sidekicks, like pumping air pumps, and the whole thing fell over and knocked everybody over.
Oh no!
And then there's a recreationist group in that does Ghostbusters and stuff, and they wanted to do the blood rave. So what they did is they sold tickets to be in the blood rave, and then they had on stage Blade being a cosplayer that did Blade. All right, and I got to go hang out with Blade, and it was at a big club in New York. And what they did is they took, you know, the water sprayer things with the backpacks that you have for gardens. Yep. They had to take that, and then they had to put plastic wrap all over the floor. Everybody had to wear white. There was about 1,000 people in the center. And then they had people pumping the pumps, and they had the people on the side doing the blood rave. So I'm sure if the next level is going to happen, you guys can figure out the logistics of how to blood rave. But those are two examples of two blood raves I've seen.
If anybody is watching this and has any suggestions on how we could pull off a blood rave with my blonde hair not getting ruined, I am totally all game, and I will help figure this out. But
one word: shower cap.
I'm not wearing a shower cap. It's not happening.
Wig over a shower cap.
Okay. Maybe.
Vaseline?
Let me know. What's that?
Vaseline?
No. Actually, we did an event once. I was outside, and it was like 20-something degrees, and I was very not clothed very well, and it was very cold, so I took Vaseline and put it all over my exposed skin. It actually keeps you warm.
Okay.
In
But
case
you would look good as a redhead. I wouldn't argue.
No, I am blonde. I've been blonde. I'm not actually blonde, as we can see, but I've been blonde since I was a very young little one.
All right, guys, we're running out of time. And let's talk about some projects that you have besides Mason, Vampire, Endless Night, and Vampfangs. What other goodies do you have in store for us that you can tell us about?
Blood raves. All the blood raves. No.
Coming to a club near you.
Yeah.
No, you know, I mean, not really anything to do related with the vampire stuff, but real estate.
Yeah, that's
property.
Kind of our new jam.
We're pushing in real estate. We do warehousing, fulfillment, third party stuff. That's that. We still have, and it's just a matter of waiting for the right time and for the right location, the right place. But we will be in New Orleans. Again, just a matter of when. We actually found a property that we were like this close to moving on.
And then
COVID happened, and it just put everything to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Was that the bank that you showed me?
Yeah.
I remember.
That's the point that we were at. We were at the point that we like went down there and toured it, and like you had come down and seen it, and we were like, yeah, we think this is it.
And then
you could always go next to Hex.
And now it's a Birkenstock. It's like a sandal and shoe store.
Oh no!
Okay.
We're like, you could have been so much cooler.
Yeah.
But Lower Decatur Street is becoming what they call Dagon Alley. All the alternative shops are moving in there.
I could see that. Yeah, but you know, we have our sights on so many things all the time. Our heads are always coming up with new stuff. We were laughing that we should make like a coffee table book of all of the amazing business ideas that we have. There's a lot of really strange ones, but a lot of really good ones too. And you know, I think for the next, I'll call it 6 months or so, we're probably just going to cruise and pay attention to everything we have going on.
We actually have realized, and we're noticing that we've amassed quite a lot of really beautiful furniture, accessories, decor, the whole nine. And so we think we're going to collect all this stuff, and we're actually going to be doing some outfitting for people's weddings.
Yeah, we do.
So you want to rent some thrones, you want to rent some beautiful floral decor, you want, you know, Like, we got it. Might as well.
It just sits in our warehouse,
well
and we do weddings and all that stuff. Anyways, both of us are almost. Ben is now doing weddings too. Ben can't do vampire weddings, but I can obviously do blood and roses ceremonies. But we're almost booked for the entire month of October. So
I still have openings for Friday the 13th.
Ben still does.
In October?
I don't. I do not. But anyways.
We're doing a pre-party for Halloween for the New Orleans ball on LA on Friday the 13th. Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I wish we lived closer to LA, but we are sadly on the other side of the country. And
well, the advantage of Endless Night is we're back in Paris in May.
I'm so excited for that. It's May?
May 12th.
Awesome. We will be there.
Yes.
How did I miss that announcement?
He's doing it right now.
Because I'm going to be announcing it on stage at Halloween.
That's how I missed it.
Yeah, no, I put the invite out so people can make their plans, because with Haunted History Tours in New Orleans, Patty and I are doing a 10-day trip to Romania before the ball, and it's going to end in Paris. But what's great is the producer of the Bal de Vampires of France and Endless Night are producing Theatre de Vampire à Paris. Theatre de Vampire à Paris. And it's been a dream of mine to do the Theatre of the Vampires for years. And it just happens that the second season of Interview with the Vampire with Theatre of the Vampires is coming out this next spring.
Awesome.
Cool. Good timing.
And maybe AMC might be involved, but I don't know.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll be in Paris.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Just make sure you get your reservations now, because the Olympics are the next month after that.
Ooh.
Okay, so hotel rates might be going up. May is a perfect year to go, but I would suggest going to Europe before May 1st, just so everybody knows. Go to Europe before May 1st, because you'll get a better deal and you'll be able to come to Romania with me and Patty.
Very cool. I like that idea very much, actually.
So we'll go and visit our friend Andrea Bathory. They're over there.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
Very cool.
So, and finally, where can we find you?
I'm right here.
So, Vampfangs.com's website. You can find us on Instagram at VampFangsOfficial. On most of the other platforms, it's just at Vampfangs.
If you want to find us personally, I'm Alexis Foray on Instagram, and Ben is Benjamin Adam.
With 2 Ds.
With 2 Ds.
Yeah.
A W.
Boom!
My AirPod just fell
out of your head. Was that your? Did you glitch to like your?
No. My air conditioner's off, so I have to have all the doors open. So there's all the outside sounds, and I put my AirPods on so to make sure that I could hear you, and just one fell out.
Yeah.
Been there.
But very importantly, we will find you in Salem, September 9th at the Salem Vampire Ball.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
Hope to see y'all there.
This has been fun.
I'm really particularly excited for this year because we are doing so well, and VIP tickets already sold. VIP tickets already sold out. Make sure that you get you. Same with what?
The Diamond? VIP and Diamond tickets are both sold out. So the only thing that's left right now is general admission, and the salon tickets are going to be sold out, if I had to guess, by the end of this week.
So get your tickets at vampfangs.com. You can also find links from endlessnight.com to get there. All the Endless Night social media has links to Salem event. And Ben and Lex, thank you so much for joining us here at Hollywood Arcane. You guys rock and roll. And we'll see you guys in Salem.
See you guys in a few weeks.
Great seeing you guys. Talk soon.